Imagine standing on a beach in East Africa 70,000 years ago. The sun directly overhead isn't just bright, it is absolutely brutal. Your skin is deeply pigmented and dark. In fact, that goes for every single human on Earth at this point in history. Why? Because every single human lives in Africa, right near the equator, under this exact same scorching sun. At this time, our species was completely localized to one continent. There was zero variation in UV environments. There is no white. Honestly, there's no black as a social category either, because there's literally nobody else around to compare yourself to. There's just skin doing its primary job, keeping you alive under a sky that would otherwise cook you from the inside out. Without that built-in biological defense, early humans wouldn't have survived long enough to pass on their genes. Now, let's fast forward tens of thousands of years. Things are about to get really interesting. Some of your descendants are going to pack up and walk right out of Africa, generation after generation. They'll keep walking until they land in places where the sun barely even shows up for half the year. As these populations moved north into Europe and Asia, something wild happened to their bodies along the way. Somewhere along that long march, their skin tone began to transform. It didn't happen because they wanted it to, or because anyone made a conscious choice. It happened because, biologically speaking, their bodies literally had no other choice. This is the story of one of the fastest, strangest, and most misunderstood pieces of human evolution. And almost everything you think you know about it is probably wrong. For starters, evolution didn't upgrade anyone. It just recalibrated a biological trade-off. To get why skin changes, we have to look directly at the underlying mechanics inside our cells. When you change your light environment, your biological survival settings have to turn with it. So let's break down the science of why dark skin was our species' very first default setting. It all comes down to melanin, a pigment produced by specialized cells called melanocytes. Think of melanocytes like a factory churning out microscopic defense umbrellas inside your skin. Melanin is essentially built-in, custom-made sunscreen. It absorbs and scatters harsh ultraviolet radiation before those rays can shred the DNA inside your skin cells. Near the equator, where UV intensity is dialed up to 11 year-round, high melanin production isn't optional. High melanin was literally the difference between a population surviving or perishing. Without it, skin cancer and severe nutrient destruction would wipe out a population over generations. So natural selection locked high melanin in as the ultimate survival trait in equatorial regions. Which means dark skin was the ancestral baseline for every single human being that has ever lived. For the vast majority of our species' existence, high melanin was simply humanity's default setting. Now, here's a crucial detail almost nobody knows about: folate, an essential B vitamin. When intense UV light penetrates light skin, it destroys folate circulating in your bloodstream. And losing folate is catastrophic. Folate is crucial for healthy fetal development. Without enough melanin shielding your folate, UV exposure near the equator causes severe birth defects. So dark skin wasn't just about preventing painful sunburns. It was, in a very direct sense, vital reproductive protection. If your children can't develop safely, your lineage ends right there. That's the exact kind of reproductive pressure natural selection responds to instantly and mercilessly. In high UV zones, dark skin guaranteed that healthy families could thrive. So the system worked perfectly, until, of course, humans decided to pack up and move. As human groups trekked north into Europe and Asia, they ran straight into the exact opposite problem. Less sun. A lot less sun, especially during long, brutal northern winters. See, skin doesn't just block UV rays, It also uses UVB light to make vitamin D. In low sun environments, dark skin blocks too much of the faint UV light, starving the body of vitamin D. Not enough vitamin D means weak bones, rickets, and compromised immune systems. Suddenly, the exact same dark skin that saved your life in Africa is quietly working against you in Scandinavia. It's a classic biological trade-off: UV protection versus vitamin D production. Lighter skin isn't better. It's just tuned to catch every single crumb of available sunlight. The correct biological answer depends entirely on which latitude you call home. So, how long did this shift take? Brace yourself, because the timeline is mind-blowing. Most people assume lighter skin evolved tens of thousands of years ago, right as humans entered Europe. Ancient DNA completely shattered that assumption. Meet Cheddar Man, a 10,000-year-old skeleton discovered in England. Scientists expected his DNA to reveal pale skin. What they actually found shocked the world. Cheddar Man had dark skin paired with striking blue eyes, living in Britain just 10,000 years ago. That means humans lived in Europe for tens of thousands of years while keeping their dark skin. Light skin in Europe is surprisingly recent. On an evolutionary timeline, it happened yesterday. DNA from Spain, Luxembourg, and Hungary confirms that even 8,500 years ago, Europeans still had dark skin. So what triggered the sudden shift toward pale skin just 8,000 years ago? The answer lies in a massive change in how humans got their food. Enter agriculture. Around 8,000 years ago, humans stopped hunting and started farming. To put that in perspective, pale skin swept through Europe after Stonehenge was already planned. Hunter-gatherers got vitamin D from eating oily fish and game meat, but farmers ate grain-heavy diets. Without vitamin D from their diet, human skin was forced to make its own under weak northern light. Specific gene mutations like SLC24A5 and SLC45A2 quickly spread to drop melanin levels. Farming literally dialed down the skin's melanin volume slider. Now, farmers with lighter skin produced enough vitamin D to survive and raise healthy children. Within just a couple thousand years, pale skin became widespread across northern Europe. Lighter skin is a recent evolutionary renovation, not an ancient foundation. Now here's where the story takes its ultimate mind-bending plot twist. East Asian populations also evolved lighter skin, but here's the kicker. They did it using completely different genes, like OCA2, instead of the European genes. Same exact destination, completely different genetic pathways. Neither group borrowed the trick from the other. They evolved it totally independently. This is called Convergent Evolution. It's one of the coolest plot twists in human biology. Nature literally stumbled upon the exact same biological solution twice, using two different sets of tools. Light skin wasn't invented once and spread. It was reinvented separately across the globe. Different toolkits, same lighting problem. Isolated populations, which completely blows apart any simple linear narrative people tell themselves. 2 continents, 2 genes, 1 universal biological response to the sun. If an ancient hunter-gatherer saw modern racial hierarchies, they'd have zero clue what we were talking about. To them, skin color was just a UV filter setting. Nothing more, nothing less. Skin color isn't a binary on-off switch. It's a continuous, beautiful spectrum controlled by dozens of genes. Populations in southern India and Australia evolved high melanin along pathways completely separate from Africa. Meanwhile, southern African Khoe and San groups carry lighter skin genes that spread independently inside Africa. Human genetics has been constantly mixing, matching, and adjusting sliders for tens of thousands of years. Gene flow never stopped. We have been remixing in every single direction continuously. There are no neat boxes, just infinite degrees of adaptation. When you strip away social constructs, you're left with pure, elegant biology. Every shade on Earth today is a masterclass in biological adaptation. So what would that original hunter-gatherer on the African beach think if they saw humanity today? They'd see descendants scattered across 6 continents, wearing every shade our species can produce. And every single shade would be recognized for what it truly is, an equally successful adaptation. Not a hierarchy, not a ladder, no superior or inferior settings. Just parallel solutions to the exact same ancient equation. How much sun hits your skin, and what does your body need to do about it? The truth is unbelievably simple once you sweep away the nonsense culture piled on top. Skin color is just sunlight, translated directly into biology. It's continuously adjusted generation after generation to fit wherever your ancestors stood. We didn't change into something different. We spread out, and our skin simply followed the sun. Every single one of us is part of the exact same ongoing story.